Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
Had a whole bunch of people send me this story out of Finland. And of course, if you don't know this, all of my ancestors came to America from Finland. And you may have guessed that I had a Finnish connection based on some of the stuff behind me. But a driver in Finland got a $195,000 speeding ticket. Because in Finland, penalties are based on your income. It's not just a scale at 5 over is this, 10 over is this. No. They go, oh, you were speeding? How much do you make? The Finns like to be creative with things like this. And they also like to drink a lot of coffee. So the $195,000 is Australian because this story comes to us from Australia, but it happened in Finland because abc.net.au covered the story. And the driver was actually fined in euros because Finland uses those. And so 121,000 euros was his fine for speeding in Finland. So the man's name is Anders Wickloff, which of course is not a good Finnish name. I suspect it's Swedish. And a lot of Finns speak both Finnish and Swedish. Finland and Sweden are near each other. And at various times in their history, the rulers changed, shall we say. And there were times where a lot of people in Finland spoke Swedish as a result. So Finland didn't actually have its independence, so to speak, until 1917. And prior to that, it would have been very, very common to encounter people with both Swedish names and speaking Swedish as their primary language. But Anders Wickloff was quoted as saying in the main newspaper for the Åland Islands, I really regret the matter. And those islands are an autonomous region of Finland in the Baltic Sea. He was driving 82 kilometers per hour in a 50K zone when police stopped him and he received that fine. And it was a Saturday, by the way. Along with getting the fine, he had his driver's license suspended for 10 days, according to the local newspaper. But this, of course, is not his first time. So he should have known better. In 2018, he was fined 63,000 euros. And then he also was fined 95,000 euros back in 2013. So he's gotten a few speeding tickets that were quite expensive. Now, he is a native of that area. He's chairman of a holding company that includes businesses in logistics, helicopter services, real estate, trade, and tourism. Perhaps he should travel by helicopter. That might be a cheaper thing for him to do at this rate. In Finland, traffic violation fines are based on your daily disposable income, and it's often half of your salary. So whatever you make in a day, they take half of that. They're not going to take all of it. The Finns are going to let you have money to get by on, but they're going to take half of it. So the implication here is that this guy makes 242,000 euros a day, okay? Because they took half of that at 121. So his company is called Wickloff Holding. It's worth more than $10 million, according to various internet sites. And the islands where this happened sit at the entrance to the Gulf of Bothnia between the Finnish city of Turku on mainland Finland's west coast and Sweden's capital, Stockholm. So it's kind of like they're in the middle. Now, that's the entire story. Man caught speeding pays a gigantic fine. He's been busted twice before for this. And, of course, I've heard this story before. And I was wondering, I think I've heard this story before. And so here's the deal. A couple things to understand. Finland is not the only country on earth that does it this way. It turns out that Switzerland does it that way also. Now, I've been to Switzerland. It's a beautiful country. I've never driven there. I got around on foot and by train. They have a great transit system over there. But I did not drive while in Switzerland. Probably a good thing. Meanwhile, I did a search to find other examples of this. And back in 2004, one of Finland's richest men was fined 170,000 euros for speeding through Helsinki. Now that man was 27 years old, and he is heir to his family's sausage business. I kid you not. His parents were the sausage kings. Was caught driving 80 kilometers per hour in a 40. And that was on a Thursday, by the way. For some odd reason, the Finns like to let you know what day of the week these people are speeding. It's a cultural thing. What can I tell you? Finnish traffic fines vary according to the offender's income. And according to tax office data, that man's earnings were close to 7 million euros annually, apparently. So I'm not sure how that math quite works out. But the final penalty could still change when the case is eventually heard by a Helsinki court. And meanwhile, they point out in that story that another man who was a top executive at Nokia, which used to be a big deal in cell phones, got a 116,000 euro speeding fine. But he got that slashed quite a bit because his income had dropped. So the guy actually went to court and said, I don't make that much money anymore. What's your defense? Oh, I was speeding. I'm just poor now. So meanwhile, if the fine stands for the Sausage King and his family, it will beat a speeding fine of more than 80,000 euros paid by an internet millionaire whose last name is Ritsala. And that happened in 2000. So that's what's going on there in Finland. If you get caught speeding, they find out what you earn, and they'll, in essence, take half the gross pay. Is it gross or net? As if it matters. They'll take half your pay for one day of what you do for a living. So, and I understand the gross net can be wildly different. I'm joking. I don't know what the tax structure in Finland is. I'm not about to consult a Finnish accountant to get an answer to that question. I have to ask one thing I could not find. I actually did quite a bit of research on this, and by that I mean 5 minutes instead of none. And I couldn't find if there's a floor. Is there a minimum? So in other words, if you're unemployed, let's suppose you're unemployed, you are broke, you make no money. Can you drive like a madman because when they pull you over and say you're going to get a fine, you say, oh great, take half my pay. One half of nothing is nothing. I suspect there is. Otherwise, it would just be a real inspiration for unemployed people to go out and get crazy before they get that job. But here's the thing, for those of you who are curious, there's a couple hints behind me of my Finnish connection. One of them is the license plate. This is Kaarme. In Finnish, if you put umlauts over the A's, which we can't do on American license plates, it becomes the Finnish word for snake. And I have that license plate on a Viper automobile because in Michigan, Viper, snake, all the obvious names are taken. And I'm not going to put like one Viper 1 or something, whether it fit or not, that's not the point. So I wanted to find something that was both appropriate and on some level funny. And so I came up with that. And my Finnish friends find it funny. Although Finns don't laugh a lot. They are a little bit more subdued. And that's not an insult, by the way. That's just the way they are. Also, behind me, it's a little bit off camera, unfortunately. There's a Finnish flag over there. And I also had Sisu behind me on one or two of my license plates. Yeah, right there, Sisu. And that, of course, is a very, very famous Finnish word. It does not translate very, very well into English. It's more of a concept. But there's a movie that recently came out called Sisu. If you like action-adventure type films, if you like the John Wick series, for instance, I would encourage you to go see that movie. I saw it at the theater. I loved it. It was great. So, Sisu, at theaters now. But the movie is set in the days following Finland's exit from World War II. So I don't know if these speeding fines were in place at that moment or not. I doubt that they were. So back to the story. Daniel, Jay, and James, thanks for sending it. abc.net.au ran it. Driver fined $195,000 Australian for speeding in Finland, where penalties are based on income. But of course, that Australian number was derived from 121,000 euros was the fine because it's based on your income. Questions or comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. Don't start vast projects with half-vast ideas.